You are now listening to Creator Corner.
Hi everyone, welcome to Creator Corner. We are super excited about our guest today, Kyiana Williams. Welcome, Kyiana.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, welcome back,
right?
Actually.
It was like a year ago. I had to look back at it. I was like, oh my God, cringe. This was so long ago.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you on the podcast today, Kyiana. Kyiana is actually the founder and CEO of Entertwine, which we will talk a little bit about, but Entertwine is a platform for creators that are in the TV, film, and theater industry that are looking to connect with an AI career counselor. So very, very excited to hear more about
Absolutely.
that, Kyiana.
I'm excited to talk about it. I know there's a lot of buzz about AI lately, so I know, oh my God, there's like a new movie coming out about how AI is going to destroy the world, and I was like, why?
Definitely want to hear your thoughts around AI, but before we get started, we just have a couple rapid fire questions to ask you, and anything you think about, answer is pretty fair game for these two questions.
Game show.
First being, if you could be a different type of creator or entrepreneur, what would you be?
A chef. I want to be a baker, actually. And most people know this. Like, I don't believe in having the same career all the time. And I've always wanted to bake, but I also worry about my waistline, but I don't care anymore. So I'm going to be a baker later. And I'm going to go, like, study abroad and do all of that.
Let's do it. Looking forward to seeing you bake.
It's gonna
be great. And then the second one is, okay, if you can create a different AI platform that isn't Entertwine, what would it be?
Oh, well then this is a great transition. It's Ears. Ears is what it is. And I can talk a little bit more about that. I've now become the CEO and co-founder of another product called Ears. Ooh, look at that. Like, ooh.
Looking forward to hearing that. Yeah. We like that. Ears. Okay.
Yeah, and as we talked a little bit about Kyiana, we previously had you on the podcast about a year ago, and yeah, we spent the majority of the time talking about Entertwine and a little bit about the mission there, or specifically around helping young creators with opportunities, mentorship in the space. And so we're so curious to just hear what's changed in the last year since we last talked about Entertwine.
Oh my God, it's grown. Like, I talked to my team about what is success, and I was like, this is successful now. We can't stop. It has to keep going. And so success was we got a grant from Los Angeles County for arts and culture. And so we got that award maybe about last month. So they honored us with a grant, and so now we have to keep doing art and doing support. So that was really cool, especially during the strike, right? Both strikes. And then we had our Asian American Pacific Islander, or APIDA, so Asian Pacific Islander Desi American 24-hour play festival. And we debuted it for the first time in person at the Japanese Heritage Museum in downtown LA, so at Janum. And they absolutely loved it. They're like, can we somehow do this again next year and maybe following years? And I was like, of course we can.
Wow.
Say less. Yes. Like, what's the ordeal? They're like, we want to be perfect for you next time. And I was like, oh my God, someone's catering to me. And so that has been exceptional, just having people come out the woodwork and be like, I want to work with you, and I see that this is something that's amazing, and I want to be a part of it. I want to be a partner. I want to support. And so that has made it incredible to work in this space, and then have to get so many other people to join the team, because I'm now looking toward the AI space and the tech space more, that I'm like, entertainment, because we are a little bit on a hiatus. I'm like, let's get some more attention on the tech while we don't have a lot of entertainment things going on. You don't want to get people in trouble at this time. Like, don't want to help them get jobs that cause them to scab or cross the line. So don't want to do that. I'm now a board, not a board member, I'm a council member for the Entertainment Community Fund and the career counseling side. So that is a big deal now, where I'm like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, because especially I'm a part of one of these larger nonprofits who help in entertainment, and I want to make sure that I'm doing them a service as well as the people who I'm serving as well.
That's amazing, Kyiana. And I think one thing that really stood out from our last conversation was how intentional you were with who you get funding with, who you collaborate with. So we're curious to hear, has there been any new conversation with your investors around the recent developments in the AI space? And how's that been for you?
Investors in particular, or just like in general?
Or just in general, yeah, in general of your like funding as well, funding sources.
Everybody is so obsessed with generative AI. Like, it's so obsessive with generative AI. And unless you know what it is, it's almost like, I wouldn't say crypto, but like that sort of area. Like, you don't know what it is, and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know how to use it quite yet. Now, I'm not saying ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff isn't great. By all means, I've used it. I like playing with it. A lot of my professional pictures on my LinkedIn are actually generated by AI, like at least the clothes, because I don't have all these nice clothes. I don't need it. And so there are some attributes about it with the generative space, but I'm like, there are a lot of companies out now, or a lot of startups out now, who just wrap themselves around ChatGPT. And that's not a real company. That's a wrapper. Like, saying like, oh, we specifically make clothes, or professional clothes, business clothes, and photos. Well, that's just Dolly or another like image creator, and they just wrapped around it and said like, only make professional clothes, or only do resumes, or only do this, or only do that. But behind all of that is still the same engine. So at any time, if ChatGPT was like, this was cute, I'm done doing this, it costs too much money, then all of those businesses stop being businesses.
Oh, wow.
So it actually happened with Google, where Google was like, I think they were doing a talk to text or text to talk sort of AI voice thing, and then Google was like, this was cute, I'm done doing this, and they stopped investing into it, and people who had built companies on that software didn't have a company anymore. I mean, sometimes it's devastating. Imagine if Google was like, cute GPS maps, we don't like that anymore, that was a waste of money. Like, so many apps would fall apart.
Right.
So don't always do that, Google. That's not cute all the time, but
yeah, that's a super interesting point you're making there around just the way that all these AI companies are coming forward, and it's in a way very monopolized with certain companies that are basically have a big stake in this space. And you mentioned earlier, Kyiana, that you are shifting priorities a bit from, being focused on the entertainment industry to more so on the tech. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, Ears is the recommendation engine we built to do the career counseling, the AI space. And as we were building it, we started working with other companies who, at first were in entertainment, like, oh man, we would love this for our streaming platform. Oh man, we'd love this for our mentorship program. And the more we started talking to people, they were like, oh, but I'd love this for my dating app. I'd love this for my job board. I'd love this for my healthcare company. And we're like, what are you talking about? What are all these other options you could do with this? And so we started exploring with so many different small businesses, how does a recommendation engine make your company better? And so specifically in the healthcare space, we found they were more urgent about wanting a recommendation engine. They were so enthusiastic about it, we couldn't ignore them anymore. It was like, okay, entertainment's cute, but like the people who are really urgent and almost panicky about it was healthcare. And specifically, we started talking to ABA behavioral centers, so autism centers and centers that deal with behavior. And they're like, we have therapists who will go to people's houses and people will cancel, and then all of a sudden that therapist just sits around for hours because they didn't know who else they should go to. And they're like, can we use your system to recommend where they should go to next based on what area they're in? And these are like traveling therapists. So imagine a therapist drives 20 miles to your house, and then all of a sudden you cancel in 30 minutes between the drive. One, really annoying. Two, you get there and you're like, well, now I have 3 hours of doing nothing where I was supposed to be working, and now I don't know where to go. With Ears, you'd be able to take in all that information from your database of all the therapists, all the patients, and figure out what patient is in that local area who's available to meet with this therapist who's now available. And so it just became clear, like, oh, maybe this could be helpful for dispatch and ambulances when people have emergencies. Maybe this could be really helpful for sourcing out data for people who have cancer. Maybe this could be helpful for people like landing planes and figuring out where they should go and when they should come in. And it just became a lot bigger than entertainment. And my investors, back to your like full circle, like what do your investors think about AI? They were like, this is a great idea. Like if you do this, this is gonna go far beyond anything you have right now in entertainment. So no pressure, but just think about it. And so full thinking about it since January, I was like, okay, let's put it out here. Let's sprinkle it some places. We don't really have a full website. We don't have like a Crunchbase. You can't really find us anywhere unless you know what I'm building. And since then, Ears by itself has been accepted into the National Science Foundation's program, the I-Corps Hub West. It's been accepted into Black Ambition as a semi-finalist. And I say it as if it's not me, my team, and us doing the regular stuff. But like identifying it as a second body, as a different company, it's like it's working by itself and getting accepted into programs by itself where it's not anything entertainment related. People see it as an individual by itself. So it's like my second child has been accepted into Stanford, and I'm saying that's what it is. So they got accepted into the National Science Foundation and Black Ambition. And right now I'm in conversations with, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I'm gonna say it anyway, because I'm a manifest. It's been in conversations with NBC Universal.
Oh, wow.
It is.
That's
I'm
amazing.
like, think about just never having put that out in January. I was like, no, don't do it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, let's give it a try. And it's just,
Yeah, I guess, how has it been kind of balancing out since you're creative yourself? You know, came from the film, the TV, the theater production, to dabbling into other industries outside of the entertainment. How's that been like for you?
I had to take a step. Part of the reason why we didn't go faster into Ears and just like taking on the tech world and recommendations sooner was because I was in the way. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. I was here, I built Ears for the purpose of helping Entertwine be more successful. And I was like, I'm art. How's anybody going to understand that we're switching to healthcare? That doesn't make any sense. That's not anywhere near the path. And it took a lot of reflection on me to sit back in January and be like, you know, you never wanted to be an artist, right? You never wanted to be a writer. Did you know that? You've normally been a teacher. You've normally been a baker. You've normally wanted to do different things. At one point, you thought you could be the president. So what's different than being, like, your life is your own. You are a Renaissance woman, Kyiana Williams. Yeah. You can do anything you want. And so what is the difference of being an artist now and then being a tech guru later? Like, we can do all things. I can be a firefighter tomorrow if I wanted to. I have no limitation. This is your life, right? Like, take care of your own life, do what you want, and who cares if people think it was weird that you pivoted to so many different things? Are you having fun? And my motto has always been like, if I pass away tomorrow, did I have fun?
Wow, that's beautiful. Love that, Kyiana. Thank you.
Yeah, what I love about that story is that, you know, Ears took on almost a whole something bigger than yourself. Absolutely. And you know, once you committed to it, it sounds like all the opportunities begin to open and just validate that choice that you were making in terms of, you know, fully taking on this hat as a tech guru and jumping into this opportunity, which is so amazing just to see all the doors that have opened since we last chatted. You know, it's not just Entertwine now, it's Ears, and it's something, sounds like it's something bigger and will continue to evolve. Which, you know, brings me to my next question. We talked a little bit about how AI is a buzzword and everyone's, you know, bringing on a new AI company every day, every week. You know, one of the things that folks are saying is, you know, AI is going to destroy the world. It's going to, you know, ruin that human connection. You know, and I'm curious, you know, what I'm hearing about Ears sounds like completely the opposite. There's so many opportunities for Ears to support the work that is already being done in the field with, you know, behavioral therapists that are in the field or dispatchers that are in the field. So I'm curious to hear, you know, what are your thoughts when you hear, you know, these folks that are in a way focusing on the fear aspect of AI and not necessarily the positive of how it can, you know, bring more, I guess, support what we're already doing as humans today.
I hear people who are afraid of something new. You know, they don't know what the next thing is going to be. They don't know if they're going to fit into that mold. They don't know if there's going to be a job for them. And this is the first time, I think, in history where you can see the world changing so quickly that it's now, in 10 years, I won't have that job anymore. I can literally see that I won't have a trucker job anymore. I can see that I won't have a writing job anymore. I can see it versus like it phasing away through generations. So I can see why people think it's happening so quickly, because it normally hasn't happened this fast. But when it comes to what we have available right now, so there's like parts of what you described of AI for good and ethics. And that's something I learned in Women in AI, which is a program I did back in 2020. And they have such a strong focus on ethics in Europe about what artificial intelligence should be doing and how it helps the human. And I think that's somewhat lost in America because we're just trying to go so quickly and trying to beat people to the market, and sort of the idea that we can go fast and fail, but in a space where people are so afraid, it tends not to be really great to do that. So the reason why I'm so happy about Ears is we've taken it about 2-3 years to build slowly with the intention of knowing that ethics is going to have to be a big issue. Like, you can't just pretend. ChatGPT, when you use it, lots of questions come up as to like, is this accurate? Where is it getting this information? All of a sudden there are new case studies or like law case studies that somehow ChatGPT just comes up with. Like, how is it making decisions? And the creators can't identify how it's making decisions. That's called a black box. You don't want that sort of situation where even the creator can't figure out why decisions are being made. So that's why when we built Ears, like the whole process of being transparent about how the choices are being made, that's something from 4 years of studying ethics and figuring out why we want to be more ethical and transparent. It's because we are moving too quickly in America, but we don't have to. We can be more conscious about what we do with AI. And then lastly, I think people are afraid of the unknown, and they've seen a lot of sci-fi. And I'll be honest, sci-fi can tell the future, and it can tell warnings, and it can be really good at prophesizing what happens. Someone's gonna build Jurassic Park. Someone's gonna do it. Some dumbass, excuse my language, is gonna do it. And the best part is, like, hopefully that movie will show us when to stop that person. Hopefully that movie will show us what we're not supposed to do. Maybe the dinosaurs are only supposed to be this big, and they don't get bigger than this. Like, that's what we need to learn from all the sci-fi that's coming out. But in actuality, we're at the infancy of AI. Like, AI is not anywhere near as complicated as people think it is. It actually is still Excel sheets in the background. It is sometimes still an individual sitting down and doing the 1 + 1 = 2. It is still very much like that. And I think people, I even myself was guilty of this, used to think that like we had hover cars coming and like everything was gonna be AI and everything has already been built because I've seen it in the movies. But for the most part, I think we have 1%, if not a lot less than what we've seen in the movies. There are robots, sure, but most robots don't know that they're sentient. They can't be sentient yet. We don't know how to make them sentient. We're so focused on trying to build robotics that can move arms, and all they can do is sort of move arms, and that's very complicated for us as humans to even do the mathematics on moving robotic arms. So when we talk about AI, there's so many different fields of AI, and people get so caught up on what they think is going to be sentient, but we are nowhere near being able to make anything sentient, let alone like moving a robotic arm. Like, they're not related in the same field, but they're the difficulty in which we're experiencing them. We're not reaching iRobot anytime soon. We're not reaching the creator anytime soon. Our self-driving cars still suck. Like, they still have people driving them. Tesla had to take all of their self-driving cars off the lot. Like, that we're not anywhere near, and we can be afraid, but we're not gonna be in the sci-fi movies just yet, or at least not you and I. Maybe it'll be in 100 years, but
Definitely. And I think what really stood out in your response there is this, in terms of the creative and entertainment space, this how to avoid this black box, like what to do, for AI to really augment and supplement the creative industry. So we're curious to hear, why do you think the entertainment and creative space is at the forefront of all these AI conversations? And do you think AI and creatives and the originality of, the essence of a creative can coexist with AI? And if so, how?
I was just talking to my CTO about this last night. it's like there are some things that came up last year that still have a little bit of value, and I think last year NFTs had so much potential, and they still do. And if we could figure out how to make those have potential, that would make a big deal. So the thing about NFTs, not the monkey stuff, nothing like that. The thing about NFTs is the concept originally, if executed properly, now I'm hinting at things that, when executed properly, the idea is that whenever someone changes hands, whenever you change hands with my art, I get royalties. That is something that we need to start somehow implementing when it comes to my paintings, my drawings, my writing, that I somehow ingrained in the code somewhere that whenever it changes hands, the original artist still gets credit. And in our world right now, we have physical, like paintings do that. If it's still owned by the estate of the person who's alive, and my family still gets royalties from my paintings getting shipped around, that's what we have right now. And in the virtual space, we don't. And so when we have generative AI, it's just taking things off the internet. And the internet, once upon a time, we believed that everything on the internet was free. Like the whole purpose, the grandfathers of the internet were like, the internet knowledge should be free. And then we come into the space where big companies and like smart companies, startup companies are like, oh, it's free. That means I can use anything on it. So that means anytime you put something in the public, it's mine. Anything you put on Instagram is Instagram's now. None of those pictures are yours anymore. You signed a contract saying that Instagram can use them at any time. And so that means they can use it and gain money off of it. And now people are coming back and be like, well, that was me. I put my face on there, therefore it's mine. And now the battle becomes, how do you compensate me for that? How can I prove that I did that?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, NFTs because it's not over yet, have the potential to put in code like, this is how I can make money. And when it comes to the entertainment industry, like making stuff, there is a way for AI to not just give you compensation and royalties, but to protect you. And it just happens to be, we're in the middle of a strike fighting that sort of battle where people have more money and more power, and they're like, I could spend a lot less on real people and keep a lot more money. And we're in that middle of, it's going to be a rough transition because it's starting in art, but it'll eventually hit every small individual in their own way. Like, you're taking my job and I don't want it to do that. It should be that it helps me do my job better, not that you can completely eliminate me from my job. So it's going to be an interesting 20 years. And I think, unfortunately, like I said at the very beginning, in America, we're so eager to get to market so quickly. We're so eager to just go and fail that I'm not saying ChatGPT will fail, but they're experiencing a lot of lawsuits because of this sort of copyright issue where my stuff is being utilized to write text or do images. And they're the first ones to have to experience that. There has to be one, right? Like, you have to make an example out of someone.
Yeah.
And someone was going to do it and change the world, and they'll get noticed down in history for having changed the way that AI works. But they're the ones who has to undergo the pains of what it's like to have to go through privacy laws and copyright. And it was going to be someone. It was always going to be someone, and it just happens to be it's ChatGPT.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting point, because as Mary and I were diving a little bit into the AI industry, we came up against like lawsuits that writers have against ChatGPT because some of their writings are coming up, from ChatGPT. And so it is very interesting that the entertainment industry, which is, Hollywood is so prolific, such a big part of society, is at the face of these conversations in terms of, what really, the way that other industries will eventually be impacted by AI. And to your point, Kyiana, I think it is, I completely agree. I think that the US is moving very fast when it comes to AI, and, skipping the aspect of, ethics in the process sometimes when we're trying to go to market as quickly as possible. And so, I think it's so incredible and so powerful that what I've noticed in space, there's, a lot of folks in the Silicon Valley that are the ones that are really having a say in what's happening in the AI space. You have people that are moving to San Francisco to be a part of this AI revolution. Why is it so important, Kyiana, for you as a Black woman in the space to have a seat at the table, to have a seat in these conversations that are happening in AI? Because I think what you are sharing there around the ethics piece is missing in a lot of those other conversations.
So this was a conversation I had with women in AI, and I've followed them a lot recently. It's like a lot of women who women of color specifically too, who are leading the conversation on what is ethical in AI, like why we have ethics and why we need ethics. And in this space right now, like it's clearly ran by a lot of men of white men, who are under the notion that we don't ask permission, we ask for forgiveness. And that is the afterthought. And sometimes you can have pre-thought, but again, like I said, there was always going to be a new one. There's always going to be someone who has to do the problem first and get in trouble. And there's just so many ways to get in trouble. Like even if you had prepared for something, you're going to step on someone's toes somewhere in the line of trying something new. So it's hard to anticipate that. But with ethics in women, I think it comes to the fact that we have such a nurturing mentality, like just naturally. I don't know if you guys believe in the nurture for women and the assertion for men. I don't know what it's called, the feminine and masculine energy. Women tend to nurture and be more conservative about what they want to build and make sure that it's perfect and make sure that it works and ethical. And men are more outgoing with their ambitions. They want to just try it and just go for it. And so having the feminine and masculine energy within you allows you to have a good balance of, I need to nurture this and make sure it works, and then I'm going to be bold enough to put it outside. And so with women, we tend to nurture a lot and like really think through the problem, really think through the ethics, really think too much maybe about all the things that need to happen. And so I appreciated that, because that means there is someone who's thinking down the line of all the things we don't need to actually execute. We don't need to execute on things that hurt children. We don't need to execute on things that I can foresee. So being a woman, you have that ability within us. And that's why I think there's a lot of women at the forefront of AI ethics right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you hit it on the spot there in terms of just that balance is necessary and key in order not to do any harm. Because like myself, I love the AI talk. I love all the futuristic talk, but I do think if it's done too quickly or recklessly without any thought, without any, pausing on thinking about who it's impacting disproportionately, I think it could really do more harm than good unintentionally. So I think that brings us into terms of like the next question of like, how do you know like corporations and studios, in fact, can responsibly use AI to augment creativity, to enhance creativity and not stunt it, and not again disproportionately impact creatives in the space?
I know in SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, in their agreement, SAG-AFTRA is specifically fighting the idea that you can copy my face. Now, like a lot of the agreements I've ever signed are like, if you're on our lot, we can copy your image, your likeness, blah, 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 blah. But this is different. This is different where it's like, I'm on set for one day. You can now monitor my movements and my face and my actions, and then never hire me after that one day and just have me be a virtual person for the next 20 days. And then in the writer's room, people are writing, for the writer's strike, they're arguing that we don't want to work on pieces that have been generated. Like we don't work with pieces that are from ChatGPT. It needs to come from a human. And so where the latter comes in, so with the writers, they have this protection from the government, which I was really pleased to hear in my recent, like the last few months of being in those spaces with some leaders. The government protects you because it says in copyright law that it has to be made like a flesh and blood human, has to have written something in order for you to copyright it. So what happens is we're punishing the studios. I think this was like unintentional. It was something written long ago. It wasn't something really updated recently. Like you have to have written it yourself. Otherwise it's open. It's open to anybody to claim. So if a studio, heaven forbid, was stupid enough to use ChatGPT to make a script or take out some sort of idea that they wanted to to expand on, but it wasn't originally theirs. It was some sort of AI's. Well, the government's like, that's not a real idea. Anybody can now claim, if you were to make that movie and you like fleshed it out with more AI, well, we're gonna let anybody claim it. So whatever characters you have, whatever storyline you have, you can't copyright it. We'll let anybody claim it to be their own. They can have their own spin-off. They can create their own movie. They can do whatever you want. You're willing to give up franchising money if you do that. Studios will not give up that, relinquish that power to nearly anyone. They don't want anybody to have franchising power over stuff like the Fast and Furious. Don't know why we have so many of those. Like, heaven forbid Universal be like, yeah, the Fast and Furious, the thing that makes us the most money, if we had ever put that in AI, now anybody can make that movie. Anybody in any studio could claim to be a Fast and Furious franchise, because it's not anyone's IP. It's not any person's IP. It's a computer. So therefore it's all of ours. And so that's where the studios will get in trouble for themselves. And that's why I said when we're American, we're so eager to go to market that we don't even realize that it could hinder our own selves if we're so eager to use something. And that's where I'm like, okay, as we go along, we need to see who gets hurt. It may not just be the little guy who's like upset that my writing's not working or blah, blah, blah. The government is slow, but there are already stuff in place where we can argue like, oh, this completely destroyed an industry. It completely destroyed a studio because they were going too quickly and didn't realize that now nothing that they've made in the last 5 years, let's say we're in the future, because they've made it through ChatGPT, nothing is theirs anymore. They can't make royalties off of it. They can't sell it to anybody. It doesn't belong to them. That's stupid. But you don't know that yet. You have to wait till the years go on, and heaven forbid they lobby and like change that law, but I don't think they can or will. So going back to the question you asked, like how can we protect, wait, what was the question again?
Yeah, like how can corporations and studios responsibly use AI for their benefit of like creatives in the entertainment industry and not really stunt creativity along the way?
They have to start seeing that the people who make the art with them are the reason why they make money. And that's what everybody in the strikes are saying. Like, you make money because I do a lot of the work for you. And if you want me to work faster, you have to make tools that help me and not hurt me. We are powerful in numbers, right? Like if I decide to not work and I don't create content for you, then you only have old content. And I've been saying this to like my fellow council members. I was like, what's the worst case scenario? Like all the studios just think, oh, it's cute. We'll just take people's images and we'll just do ChatGPT again, stupid because copyright. But like if we did decide to do that, eventually all the people who have brand new ideas, because ChatGPT can't produce brand new ideas. It can only produce what it's already seen. Right? Like it's taking stuff from the internet. It knows things that have happened, but originality comes from us as the human. So now if all the studios ignore us, well, who's to say we can't all band together and build a co-op version of a studio and have all this brand new content where we all respect each other, where we all have unions that we respect and follow those rules and have negotiations where people are involved and people care. It's not just about money. It's about doing art all over again. Like that is where I'm like, that's where I would take it if I was a hive mind. If the studios don't listen and they don't want to build for us, well, then we need to move on. The people who work really hard, who don't get paid like that, need to band together in some other way and continue to make art and make money and somehow make it a co-op to keep going in this direction. So that's what my statement to them. Eventually it just will not work. You have to make stuff that makes working for you easier. Otherwise people will pick up and move and go to a different space.
Yeah, and have you seen any rise in kind of like co-op type like studios? If so, can you share some that you've seen?
No,
maybe
because it's just so new right now. Like the idea, like it's all top heavy, where all the producers have all the money and the executives have all the money and they make all the decision. But I'm like, if we could make that a co-op space where, again, it's almost like building out a new democracy in America. It's a new concept. It's different. And so where we don't have top heavy things, where we all are in agreement that we want to support one another and our unions and we want to get paid like real professionals get paid and to have a sustainable living, that would have to be something new that we haven't seen quite yet. And I think we might be on the verge of it. I might be speaking it into the universe. Eventually, it depends on how.
I know, right?
It might depend on how long.
You're onto something.
If it's not going to get done, I'm going to do it. If it's not going to get done, I'm going to do it in my own future. It's dumb. Like, you are the people who build it. This is a machine made out of people. And if all of us can't come to an agreement and we don't like our working situation, the guilds and the unions are our HR. And so far, HR is not doing a great job protecting us. They can't at this moment because the company won't budge. So what's the problem? What's the solution? We can't just pick up and go to a different company like other people can. We sort of just stick around until something gives. And at this point, there's so much content from the past, and there's so many new movies still coming out that we don't even know about. Like, who's to say how long the strike is going to last? The strike has been going on for days, 100 days, so many days, and it's potentially hurting the industry because the people who are professionals are like, okay, this isn't cute. I have rent. I have a mortgage. It sounds like I need to get a different job. And if that better job treats me better, like a lover, I'm just going to stay here. I need stability. I'm 45, 50, 60 years old. I have kids. It's cute when you're 20 and maybe even 30 to be around and marching and waiting for the world to change. But when you have bills and it's not working, you have to keep moving on to the next thing in order for this to work. And you may be pushing people out of the industry who would never leave otherwise.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think what's so interesting about your response is, this big shift that you're manifesting from, very, focus on a few to, power to the people in the community, in these co-ops and these unions. And you've noticed, even the rise of unions recently with, a lot of different, like Harper's had a union that went on strike. And so a bunch of industries that are unionizing and really moving towards this collective power and saying, what I think is so incredible about technology is that a lot of the pieces are already there. We have, NFTs that may not have reached their potential in, last year, but there's still so much potential there to bring, power to these people so that folks have, royalties and copyright over their work. There's still the potential that is there. And when we are focused around the conversation around AI, around those few that are in charge, that are, fear-mongering and focused on, moving really quickly, then it is so interesting that we lose sight on that community power and, what can be accessible for more folks. So, you just made me you gave me a lot to think about because I hadn't really focused on that community power and, the tools that are available to folks when we are collectively, in the same struggle, in the same mission towards moving forward. So I really, really appreciate that response.
It's not about money, especially in art, which is so weird. It becomes money at the top and we don't really learn it at the bottom levels that this is a money-making industry and people make a lot of money. A lot of us artists at the bottom are like, I just want to make art and I don't want to worry about the money. But money makes your art. And a lot of the time there's so many people so focused on the money part that they forget that the people who are making the art aren't getting paid the way they need to get paid in order to continue to make your machine move. And so again, with the co-op opportunity, I don't know how it works just yet because it's like a new democracy, a new kind of political system. But the idea in my mind is that we don't focus too much on money. Like, obviously we have to in order to make the machine work, but like the idea isn't that the money is for the studio to go bigger or the execs to get paid more. We all have some sort of cap on our income because we want to make sure that we're all happy. And now there's too much bureaucracy, we can't really move that fast, but the money would go back toward making more art. And I know there are some studios who have that mentality where the money is for the art and that's best, but there has to be more where it's not just a business. And in America, a lot of things are business. Movies are business, even though they look like art. Healthcare is business, even though it looks like healthcare. It's business, baby. Like, your bills are high because it's a business. Like, there are so many things we're focusing on money when it should have been the art or the healthcare, or it's this or that or the other thing.
Yeah, I myself is in healthcare, and I definitely it's a business, like you said. But I don't know, it's interesting because I think even, again, and this is why the AI talk fascinates me, because I do think it has an opportunity to really rethink and reshape how we think about these industries, to your point, to be more focused on the art, to be focused more on the care. But I guess I don't know, Kyiana, I mean, should we be optimists or pessimists towards AI space? And where's that balance in your opinion?
It's like saying money is bad and money is good. Money is money. It has no feelings. It has no connotation except what you put on it.
Yeah.
AI is the same way. We've talked about ears in so many different ways as to how someone could use and abuse it. And like I said to you before, like there's no way of ever being able to predict that someone's going to use it for evil. I'm sure the people who created ChatGPT didn't intend that it was going to cause all of these issues. There's no way you could ever predict everything that's going to happen. With ears, I'm not even going to speak it into the universe as to what like bad things we think would happen with it. But we do notice like if some bad person, a bad individual were to use it for X thing, now, you know, you've made AI look bad. Now you've made this good thing that lots of people are using it for good things. It's now got evil potential, and everything has evil potential. A pillow has evil potential. Water has evil potential. Like there's so many things you can make evil or good. And I think AI has the ability to be both. And I think we can make it better by focusing on ethics and knowing what we want to have in the world versus focusing on things that are just cool and potentially could change the world. Like those are cool factors. Yes, there are lots of people out there who are like, I don't want censory. I don't want censorship. I don't want, that's part of the reason why some of these chatbots say some ridiculous statements, because you don't want to censor it. I want to have freedom of speech, but as many philosophers have said, when you have freedom of some sort, you still need to have rules. You still need to have restrictions. In order to have true freedom, you still have to have restrictions. Like, I don't want racial slurs everywhere. I would like some protections against that. I would like freedom of speech, but I'd also like not to be hurt. So in that regard, there is a balance between what we put out there and how we can control it, and it won't ever be, if done properly, full freedom. I don't think we actually want that. We don't want 5-year-olds voting, so we don't have 5-year-olds voting. We have 18-year-olds voting. We don't want young people drinking, so we have only, in some states, 21-year-olds drinking. Like, there are restrictions because we want we want freedom, but a type of freedom. So if you put the ethics around it now, where you know what you want, or you grow toward what you want, because you don't know what you want when you don't know what it is, we can have the freedom and the happiness that we want with AI. But it just might take a little bit of growing pains. Like, we didn't start at 21 drinking age. Yeah. It grew to that. We didn't have 16-year-old driving. It grew to that, or it keeps changing. And that's what it's gonna have to be like with AI. Like, oh, this one device ended up real bad. It caused all of these copyright problems, and we're gonna probably destroy it because we don't like it. But it doesn't mean the next one won't come and be better. The next one will always come and be better, and we're gonna learn from it. But we don't know what we want yet, so we're gonna constantly have these growing pains where something's gonna happen that's gonna go wrong, and we're gonna push to have it be better. But again, we don't have to have everything go wrong. We can have some of those preconceived thoughts and ethics and thinking about it, have a better product first, but who's to say that those people haven't done those thinking points and this is the version that they came up with that's the better version? You don't know. We'll never know.
Definitely. I think what's so important about that is, the opportunity to give AI that room to grow and evolve, and, trial and error in terms of what we're learning and taking away those learnings and moving on, and, making sure that we are actually evolving from those learnings. So I think that's so important. And I know what's so exciting about our conversation today is hearing a little bit about ears and how it has evolved as well, and how it went from, being really focused on entertainment to, potentially also moving into the healthcare. So I would love to hear, as we're looking ahead, what are you most excited about this technology as we move towards the second half of the year or the next couple of years, specifically?
Oh man, ears has so much potential. Now, Entertwine has so much potential too. Like, if they don't do the co-op thing, give me a few years, give me a decade, I'll do my best. It takes money. It takes money to do the co-op thing. You can't just come up and be like, that's cute, let's do that. Like, with what money though? So just give me
You can sell some
right, like
NFTs.
just give me a little bit of time on that one. Give us some money on that one. But for ears, oh man, my dream for ears is that it is the start of the ethics conversation in a grand scale. Now, I know we have ethics conversations for Google, and I think we had a lot of it at Facebook, and a lot of us migrated off Facebook because of the ethics conversations we had there. Like having the transparency and the start of a grandfather where a product was built for the purpose of trying to be ethical. Like that is the purpose of what I want for ears, and to have it be the grandfather of that new era of technology. That is what I'm looking forward to. That's what my intention is with ears, that from here on out, when someone builds something from scratch, not this wraparound stuff, from scratch, we have technology that we're intentionally trying to make the world better with, and that the intention is the purpose. Obviously, evil is everywhere and anywhere, okay, but like the intention of the creator was to be good, and that when it comes out into the world, they put it out here with good ways to use it. And so that's what I see for ears. I feel like that's going to be the conversation where we can start having the conversation of like, this is a product that we've built with the intention of being good for humanity. And that is a type of AI that is being worked on. It's like a thesis of AI for humanity. And I want that. Now, I don't promise that ears will change the world in dispatch. I don't promise that it'll make your life better. I know it'll make it fun. I know it'll make it more personalized. I know we'll be in a different space for it. But my goal is to make it so that AI has the first product, commercialized product, that is focused on transparency and wants to do good in the world. Now, not to say that there aren't people out there who aren't already doing that, but that's what I see for ears.
Okay, I mean, that's very exciting to hear, and there might be a part 3 to when ears is up there. No, but I think you are definitely bridging this gap in ethical AI and what that means, and intentional AI for humanity to do good. So we're definitely excited to hear more about the growth and evolution of ears. Again, maybe in a part 3.
Yeah. We're gonna get like 1 year from now and be like, the world is on fire. No.
We'll take that too. We'll take your opinions on that too.
Yeah.
No, but definitely exciting to just see it evolve more as you flush it out a little bit more with your team. So we're super excited to just
be a part of that journey.
Hear more.
I'm excited to see it too.
Definitely. And then, yeah, I know we're getting close to time, but just to wrap things up, we just have a couple closing remarks.
Like speed round again.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So I guess in 5 words, can you describe your creative or entrepreneurial process?
Ooh, that's different. Creative or entrepreneurial, they're not the same.
Yeah. And you can go on your either the creative process or your entrepreneur. You can choose one.
I don't know what an entrepreneurial process is. I'm gonna go for the creative process. Dang it, that's 6. That's one word, Kyiana. Is that one word? Is no one word? Is it like a hyphen?
We'll say it's one word. It's okay. Go ahead.
No one can write like you. Yeah.
Wow, I like that. Definitely. You have to coin that.
No. This is
sure.
something they teach us in school. Like, it's not just writing. So you can put whatever noun you want there. But there are so many romance movies. Oh my God, Hallmark makes so many of the same freaking movie. But there are so many movies that do the same plot. There's so many movies that are the same, but the version that you have, no one has seen. And so no one can write like you because you are you. No matter how much the plot is the same, no matter how the story is still a romance story, the way you direct it, the way you color it, the way you set the stage, that is going to make it different because it's coming from you. And so I feel like when people get caught up in the fact that they're making the same Romeo and Juliet story, which again, the same everywhere for all time. The way you're gonna do it, the way you think, the way you want it to go is so much different than if we all did the same assignment together. Even if you wrote a Romeo and Juliet, I wrote a Romeo and Juliet, you, Daila, ¿cómo se dice? Dalia. Okay, I was gonna say, like, because it says Daila, Daila. I was like,
yeah,
Dalia.
Dalia. Like the flower, like the flower.
Sorry, I said it earlier and I was like, wait a second, I'm seeing it spelled different. Okay, that's because I thought the I's were switched. I was like, oh, what? Okay. I've been saying it properly, but anyway, so the way you write it, Mary, Dalia, is going to be different how I write Romeo and Juliet. Like, we're not all going to write the same Romeo and Juliet. I want to do it with monsters. Mary, you want to do it the original way. Blah. Dalia, you want to set it in, like, let's say, I don't know, somewhere cute, Russia. Obviously Russia's cute. Or Ukraine or Russia, yeah. And so those are all going to be different even though they're Romeo and Juliet. So no one writes like you.
Yeah. Love that.
I love that. I want to share something before we jump off, but so Mary and I pulled like a little oracle card before we started our podcast, and the card that we pulled was manifestation, and I really love that.
Right.
So it came up in our conversation, but
it did.
I just want to share. We really enjoyed our time together so much, Kyiana, and I appreciated coming into this conversation, expecting to hear more about Entertwine and how it has grown, and leaving this conversation really excited about the work that you are specifically doing in the AI space with ears, and how that is, just so different than that what we expected from our conversation. So I really appreciate your thoughts on the AI space. And as we're closing now, we would love to just hear a little bit about where our audience can hear more about your projects.
If you're wanting to hear more about yours, you're going to have to find me personally. Entertwine is entertwine.us. You can always sign up for our newsletter and you can always get involved in the things that we're doing. Entertwine app on Instagram. Ooh, and I don't know, we used to be on Twitter, but it's called X now, and I haven't been on X in a long time. And then I'm on LinkedIn. So if you ever want to reach out to me personally, I'm on LinkedIn. It's Kyiana Williams. I'm wearing green in my photo, so if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to talk to you about ears if you're interested. Again, like I said, ears is still in stealth mode. I'll tell people about it, but I don't really have a place for people to know more about it, which is interesting. We have a website, but I like stealth more. So until I put some more marketing around it, it's still a little bit of a secret.
We love a little mystery, so we'll definitely stay tuned for that. Well, again, thank you so much, Kyiana, and we look forward to just hearing how your AI project Ears evolves and just staying updated in the loop on all things ears. Once it's
around. It's around.
Yes.
Like by the time it comes out of stealth mode, you'll probably not even notice. It'll probably be like integrated into your daily life. I know, right? Like it's just
I love that.
like it's already here.
It's here. Well, thank you, Kyiana. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. Creator Corner is a podcast production presented by the Ars Network. It is hosted by Dalia Zaragoza and Mary Figueroa. This podcast is edited and produced by Muhammad Abdullah Kawish.